With Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton officially running for Senate, the Lone Star State needs a new top cop. And the ideal candidate would be someone that has experience fighting alongside Donald Trump at the Justice Department. Perhaps someone that Trump has called a true MAGA attorney and warrior for the Constitution. Well, we have that guy. Welcome to freshly announced candidate for Texas Attorney General, Aaron Reitz. So thanks so much for joining us here today. So, I mean, what was your thought process? Why did you think that this was an important step for you to leave the Justice Department to run for Texas AG?
Yeah, so Paxton vacating the Texas AG spot is now providing Texans with an opportunity they haven't had in over a decade. And that is to select a new top cop. And as I sort of look at the state of play in our country right now, there's no question that I had a great opportunity to advance the president's law and order agenda at the Justice Department. But after several months of due diligence and thinking about, okay, where can I be most effective? There's this window that's opening right now. We don't know when it's going to open again. I stood by Attorney General Paxton for 3 years as his right-hand man, and I know that if the president doesn't get a true MAGA attorney or a warrior for the Constitution in that Texas AG spot, in other words, if the person to succeed Paxton takes his foot off the gas even slightly, all kinds of dominoes are going to fall, and it's going to be very bad, not only for Texas, but really for the nation. And so I looked at that, I said, I can't accept that scenario. That is a state of being that is unacceptable. And I know what it takes to be a tremendous attorney general because I stood by Ken Paxton's side for 3 years. And I said, look, maybe I'll put my hat in the ring. And I decided to do it. And I think that what Texans are going to see out of me is that I've got the track record and the scars, the battle scars of all the things that we've done, which I'm sure that we'll talk about, to give voters a confidence that, okay, we like that Ken is running for the Senate. We're concerned about who's going to succeed him. But if Aaron Reitz is going to be the guy, we know that things are going to be under control, and we're going to continue to be as aggressive as he has been for the past decade.
Well, I have to tell you, anyone watching out there, how long have we known each other now? How many years?
It's since 2017 we've known each other. Yeah. So almost a decade.
So
I've had the same haircut, though, the whole time. Nothing has changed in that regard, sadly.
Well, what I have to say to people, the one thing that is completely cannot be questioned is, ever since I've known you, since probably the first couple of times we started talking, you are someone who cares deeply about the Republic of Texas. You care about the state of Texas. It's at your core, the core of your being, and has been throughout the entire trajectory of your career. So, I don't want to sit here and give you a campaign ad, but I do think, I mean, that's just
I
true.
would invite you to give a campaign ad.
But that is who you are. It really is, and it's incredible. Rise that you've had and all the various things you've done. It really is a testament, though, to ultimately your love of Texas. And that's been proven, I think, by everything that you've attempted to do. People can disagree with anything else, but no one can disagree with that. I want to talk about Texas a little bit because, we have this red state issue where, what I like to do is just shame people, right, in all big red states. But I'm a new Texan, a baby Texan.
That's all right.
And we want to shame people because we want people to realize the problem, right, is actually within the House. Sure. And this is a national problem now.
Right.
So in Texas, even right now, even in our year, the year of our Lord, 2025, you still have all these DAs that came from Soros.
That's exactly right.
Throughout the damn state.
Yes.
So address that a little bit as one of these issues that's not just in Texas, it's everywhere, but this is a real problem. People still don't quite realize this.
Yeah, I think that's right. So look, I want to agree with sort of your opening comments about really just the love for Texas. I think what we need out of a Texas AG is somebody who first and foremost understands the civilizational crisis that we're in. It's not an exaggeration to say that we are in the midst of a war for the soul and the heart of our country. And Texas in particular, just out of its sheer size, influence, scope, and power, is really always going to be where the heart of that fight is. And it's why Democrats are always competing to try to take Texas. I think that they're going to lose for a long time. The Soros DAs, which we're going to talk about in a second, typically get in the way of that. But This is why it's so important to have a proven, battle-tested warrior at the helm of the AG's office and not just some standard issue GOP Inc. type. Now, that leads me to your other point about sort of, big, lazy, red, comfortably red states. Now, look, without calling any individual out right now, but there is a phenomenon that I like to call just red state complacency. And it's where you've just been sort of red for so long that you forget about the fact that you are in the midst of a civilizational and frankly even a spiritual Cold War for our state and for our nation. And you think that just by tinkering on the margins that that's going to be sufficient to sort of preserve liberty, preserve justice, and advance law and order. And it's really just not. Now, to your last point on the Soros DAs, they are in Texas really at the heart of undermining law and order in Texas. So in Texas, every state is sort of structured a little bit differently. But in Texas, the way that our counties are structured is they have massive amounts of autonomy and discretion. Our home rule cities are almost completely autonomous entities, no matter how blue they get. And these ideological Democrats get governmental capture over their city and their county political apparatuses, and they just start advancing an aggressive left-wing agenda. Soros and his cronies have figured this out. It's why they're putting Soros DAs in all the major cities. They're having their own little infighting among Democrats. Now, far left ideological leftist liberals are now outraising, outflanking, and outwinning even so-called moderate or more traditional Democrats in Texas. We saw that most recently in Harris County. The Harris County DA ousted a couple years ago a moderate DA, and Houston has declined since then. The Texas AG, though, as a statewide elected official representing the interests of the whole state and robed with immense constitutional powers, plays a critical part in suppressing the extent of the damage that these blue Soros-funded DAs do. Now, you have to get creative with the exercise of the weapons that are in statute. And so I'll tell you, this maybe get a little too wonky, but this is kind of a wonky show sometimes. So you asked my colleagues that I worked with at the AG's office as a deputy from 2020 to 2023, you asked them about the Quo Warranto memo. And so Quo Warranto is a common law theory by which a sovereign can seek the deposing of a subordinate political entity or official if he or she is in serial flagrant violations of the law. And so it was just in its new stages, it was a new idea. It was kind of like a law review article, basically. But when I'm Texas AG, not only am I going to sort of contain the negative externalities of having blue DAs, Soros-funded DAs, mayors, county officials, and so forth, but I want to seek affirmative measures for the state of Texas, state versus Soros-funded DA. Because if that Soros-funded DA is making our streets unsafe, releasing criminals, making families paranoid about whether they can even walk to the store or play in the park or anything like that, and they're doing it knowingly and maliciously, and they are abusing their prosecutorial discretion to the extent that the cities are rotting, I want to be the kind of Texas AG that comes directly for you and make sure that regardless of how awful and left-wing your ideological non-prosecution of crimes is, you've got a state attorney general who is going to come and hold you accountable and ideally get you out of office.
Yeah, and I'd say we're big 10th Amendment fans here on this show,
we love
right?
The 10th Amendment.
States' rights, let's go. And I love that you say that, it really does matter. States like a Texas, a Florida, a red state that needs to stay red. Now, what would you do? What do you think is the biggest issues that are facing these red states currently, specifically being Texas, since that's what you're running for?
Yeah, look, I think that there are several things, right? I think the national existential crisis that has, for which Texas receives an overwhelming majority of the cost is immigration. Okay. Texas has 1,200 miles of border. It's nearly half of the entire Texas-Mexico border. And so Texas is constantly, our infrastructure is getting dragged down. Our public education system is getting dragged down. Our health sector, our emergency rooms are flooded with illegal aliens. Classrooms are speaking full Spanish now because there are no English, and the English-speaking families just leave because the neighborhoods are overwhelmed with illegal immigration. That's just sort of what's happening on the cultural economic front. But Texas is also suffering from a tremendous increase in violent crime and in sex trafficking, human trafficking, drug trafficking, all of the sort of, I don't want to overuse the term negative externalities, but it's helpful here that illegal immigration is not just having more bodies in your state. There's all kinds of social and economic and frankly, cultural costs that come with having no sovereignty, no border, and no political will to enforce that border. I will also say, though, that one of the things that Texas sometimes can find itself a victim of its own success. And what I mean by that is there is no question that Texas is the place where you come for freedom. It's where you come for liberty. It's where you come for guns. It's where you come for wholesome family values. It's where you come for affordable housing, reliable schools, school choice, great churches, good people, right? All of the reasons that we could list right now where you come to Texas. Sadly, sometimes what that means is you'll get sort of Fortune 100 corporate relocations that then bring with them thousands and thousands of employees who already have built-in serious left-wing biases, and they bring that to the school board. They bring that to the community center. They bring that to their voting habits. Now, one of the differences I love that Senator Cruz always makes when he's talking about this phenomenon is that you've got two types of people, two types of groups of people that come into Texas. The first is the category that I just referred to, where it's like, well, you know, my job is relocating, and if I want to keep my job, I have to move to this urban center, and I'm coming from California or whatever. Typically, those continue their Democratic voting trends, right? But there's this other huge category of voters that Senator Cruz likes to call refugees for liberty. And it's where individual people, small businesses, emerging tech companies, independent oil and gas exploration and production companies, right? Main street entities, good people, families, and so forth that say, I don't want to wear a mask anymore. I don't want to deal with the oppressive taxes. I don't want to deal with, BLM riots. I don't want to deal with non-policing. I don't want to have to go to a CVS and push a button to get some shaving cream because they don't prosecute crimes. I want to go and buy things and live a normal life. Yes. I want to move to Texas. And so I think that just carries with you. Your question, Joe, was, what's really facing the problem with Texas right now? We've got immigration problems. We still have wokeifying influences in our state. Environmental regulations are still a problem. The remnants from the Biden administration, all the outstanding investigations and litigations, that's still an ongoing problem. And you need an AG that's going to be able to understand the contours of each of those fights and press in hard to defend Texas's interests.